Welcome to episode 2 of Nostalgia, the series where I play through classic video games for the first time and share my thoughts. I'm Patrick, and this time we'll be looking at where the Vania in the Metroidvania genre comes in. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This is one I actually passed by on release. I remember renting it and being frustrated at the plotting combat and brutal difficulty curve. I took it back to Blockbuster 2 days later after only playing it for about an hour or two. Playing it now, I can appreciate Symphony's beautiful map and fun power-ups, all of which open up Dracula's castle in fun ways and create a deep itemization system. The dark gothic aesthetic and detail put into itemization changes create an engaging tale of mystery and betrayal. Symphony's main flaw is that it's about 5 hours too long. The first few Castlevania games for NES and SNES are more straightforward platformers with RPG elements sprinkled in, and Symphony was a massive departure from the rest of the series in terms of gameplay. The developers were inspired by The Legend of Zelda when coming up with Symphony of the Night, so they weren't trying to innovate on the Metroid formula. They just happened to create a denser version of it. In the way of gameplay, I feel like not much was added. The deeper combat makes sense for Alucard as he slays his way through Drac's castle, but it doesn't always feel fun. I would rather explore the dark and beautiful hallways than slap another zombie or skeleton. Plus, the ridiculous roller coaster of difficulty through the game is incredibly irritating. Had I persisted in trying to conquer the game in my youth, I may have thrown my PS1 to be attacked by a cauldron of ravening bats. The game grinds to a halt whenever Alucard is nowhere near a save room to refill his health, and there are corridors of monsters in every direction. Symphony becomes a roguelike bullet hell where I had to play perfectly to find some wall roast or a save room. Then slides into triviality by the time the initial castle is explored. Then ramps up again intermittently for one or two of the inverted castle bosses until you find the slapchop sword, and then everything is laughably easy. Castle Dracula is gorgeous in its background aesthetic, and making my way around had my jaw dropping more than once at the design and detail that went into the environments, the monsters, the music, and just the feel of the game. The map is detailed enough to show you what doors you haven't explored yet, but not so detailed as to tell you what you'll need to walk through it. The areas are varied in their look, but they all have cohesion of purpose. The Royal Chapel has a confessional. The library is full of stacks and strewn with library cards. There are mermen in the underground aquifer, which is fed from a waterfall on the other side of the castle's underbelly. Jumping into the bells in the high towers makes them ring. And there's a gladiator arena complete with ready room and elevator to the abattoir. There was so much detail put into the backgrounds. Then I had to explore it all again. Upside down. The palette swap and inversion aren't enough to make it feel like new areas. It only feels like what it is. Retreading the place again upside down. I found it boring and frustrating more than fun. This is another title I'm happy to have played a modern port of. The reload time after death is kind of annoying, even now, with a fast load and continue option from the main menu. I don't want to read that, "The night is still young," ever again. I saw that screen more times than I can count while trying to beat one or two of the bosses in the reverse castle. That's one of the Symphony's best qualities. I was getting hammered over and over, but some bosses are so engaging I couldn't help but try again. Be it in character design, or attack patterns, or the music that kicks off when a fight breaks out. The little things made it worth one more go. The music was an essential part of keeping me going. The soundtrack moves from epic score to heavy metal to piano jazz as you make your way through Dracula's castle, and it all fits together in an eclectic musical mosaic. Dracula's castle theme will be stuck in my subconscious forever now, and I'm sure anyone who's played through Symphony of the Night is now hearing those opening notes. Another thing that kept me going is something I touched on the last episode. Alucard's run cycle is detailed and fluid, and the attention to detail by the designers goes a long way. His afterimage gives the illusion of speed, even though, in the beginning at least, he plods along. That adds a lot to the scale of the castle. After all, if he's running that fast but still crossing the screen so slowly, the castle must be even more massive than it appears. And that's saying something, because it appears pretty big. Luckily, there's also plenty of ways to get around. The game's plethora of power-ups include manifold metamorphoses of the vampiric variety. Alucard can become a wolf, a bat, and a cloud of mist. Each of these has its own upgrades, some of questionable usefulness. Not among these is the mist upgrade that lets you float around impervious as long as you have mana. It's not essential for the reverse castle, but it makes things bearable. The wolf, on the other hand, is completely useless. It's meant to be a speed upgrade, but I found it more awkward than advantageous, while the bat simply flaps somewhere in between the two. All of them have love and attention poured into them, though. Not only does Alucard look cool as a wolf or a bat, but depending on his gear, each look can change. It's a nice touch. There was the seed of something great in Symphony of the Night. The concept of an entire new half of the game that's hidden away is brilliant. I would like to have seen a descent into a hellish prison or necromantic labyrinth instead of a palette swap of the castle, though. I realize it's probably a limitation of the media, but still. Is it worth playing today? Not in its original PS1 format. There are plenty of places to find it, such as the Google Play Store, and if you enjoy the Metroidvania genre, it's worth picking up for $5 or so. I enjoyed my playthrough, but I don't think I'll be playing it again. What Symphony has to offer in terms of gameplay is done better by newer games, and while the storytelling is campy and fun, it's just not great. I'm glad I played through this piece of gaming history, but now I think I'll let it rest peacefully in its coffin. Let me know what you think in the comments, and until next time, stay sound.